I had all worked out earlier which way I was going to work, and that's all gone.
Hello, darling. All right. Hey?
No, it's just my coffee cup. Sorry about that. I have to leave things where people would see I've been.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to our first Spiritual Cafe night, and thank you all for turning it up. How wonderful is that? As I say, this is our first one, so we're finding our way as much. We've got an idea, but we can build upon that. But the idea and the intent of these nights is where we can talk about different aspects of spirituality, open up the field. And it is meant to be a very interactive evening. It is based on your engagement, except you, Sue. And it's a chance to find and explore, you know, because as I say, I was talking to a lovely lady here. It's all very well sometimes when we come into services and people are talking at you and you get up and go out afterwards and your mind's buzzing with questions. So these Wednesday nights, so we have this one, the Spiritual Cafe, which is a nice relaxed environment. Please eat the cakes, because any left I will have to eat myself, and I'm desperately trying not to. It's a relaxed environment, it's very informal. Chime in with your questions, chime in with your thoughts. Do you know what? We all have thoughts, we all have our own ideas, and we should never be frightened to share them. So, yeah, enjoy the evening. We are being streamed live on our Facebook page for viewers at home to join into. Just to reiterate, when we stream from here, people at home can only see the platform and only hear what's going on the platform. So your privacy is in no way in... Oh, all right. Hey, thank you, Ted. Thank you, Ted. That's the word that will do.
I should write that down.
Yeah, put it in your book. Great delight. Lovely gentleman who's moved to our area, so we're so pleased that he's now close to us in Paul, Mr. Roy Mackay.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll be inviting in different speakers to talk about different things and give our thoughts, but as tonight is the first one, I thought a really good topic is, what is spirituality? You know, we use these words, don't we? Oh yes, I'm spiritual. Oh yes, I follow a spiritual path. But what does that mean? What does that mean? I know it's a personal thing to a lot of people. But, you know, it's a chance now to just talk about it and hear other thoughts on the same topic. So, Roy, sir, what is spirituality? You've got 5 minutes to tell us.
Well, I can only go by my own
Exactly.
spiritual pathway. What we have to remember is we are all at different levels. You know, our intelligence, not only the material intelligence, but your spiritual intelligence as well, is guiding you. And sometimes the two conflict. And you think, well, I should be doing this because I'm spiritual. I don't think we can say that we are spiritual. I feel that we are searching for spirituality. And I think that is the best way to place it. I was talking to somebody the other day and I was saying about how I've got to get up and talk. And to be honest with you, I'm a lot happier getting up and doing the mediumship. And if I get to give an address, then I'm very lucky that the spirit world connects with me and gives me the address. But somebody was saying to me the other day, well, you know, spirituality has been there for a long time because, you know, spirituality comes with the church, with so many different churches. But I don't see it that way, because the spirituality that you have in a church, your spiritual pathway with religion is guided. You know, you've got somebody teaching you, you've got the vicar or whoever, and he is taking you through the scriptures. He is teaching you this is the right way because of this, this is the right way because of that. And you get drawn in, and I think your own spirituality, your own pathway is a journey. And it's a bit like one of these, I see it a little bit like these computer games, you know, where you've got the kids playing and you've got this little thing going on, it jumps up and it grabs a gold coin, and then it runs along and then it trips over, and then it has to get up and that's a gold coin again. And that's what we're doing in our life. We're on this journey and we have to collect as we go along. And as we do go along and we collect these items, so we are learning the spiritual pathway. We are learning that we need these tools, we need these little bits and pieces to be who we are. But my spiritual journey is not going to be the same as anybody's here, because we're all got our own free will. We're all going to decide whether we want to go that way. We're all going to decide whether or not, no, that's too hard, I'm going to find an easier way. But whenever you turn down part of that journey and you say, I'm not going to do that, it's going to come back, because you invited your journey before you came to the earth. So therefore, you kind of know before you come to the earth where you're going. Oh, you won't know about it once you hit the earth, because you get what I used to call the spirit amnesia, where you come through the curtain and it's just like, I'm sure I should be able to do this because I was linked to the spirit world years ago. It must be, but you won't get it because you have to relearn. My spiritual pathway is about what I can make of my life. I know that I'm not always going to be the perfect, polite person that it says you should be in the Bible and in many other beliefs. I know that there's going to be days when I'm on a downer and I'm going to moan at somebody, or I'm not going to do something because I don't want to do it. But that is my journey. And then further up the line, when somebody reacts to me in the same way as I reacted earlier, I will learn that, is that what I really sounded like? So I can improve myself by every journey that I go through, every emotion that we, shall we say, suffer on this earth plane is who we are. We're like a big jigsaw puzzle. We've got to put the pieces together. And even when we get back home, we're never going to be perfect. We are going to have to continue in the next world. We are going to have to make sure that we go through those emotions that we wanted to go through when we came to the earth plane. So I see spirituality as an individual thing. As I say, you have the spiritual elements with your, shall we say, normal churches, your Christian churches, but at the end of the day, that is a guided program. You know where you are going because the vicar is showing you. The vicar is telling you. You can always go to the vicar and you can say, listen, I'm having a problem with this, with my spirituality. And he will give you what he feels is right for you. But when you are on the spiritual pathway that is yours, the journey, shall we say, through this life, that is when you have to kind of get things right. And if you don't get them right the first time, then it's going to keep coming. But nobody is judging you. Nobody is judging you. There are a lot of wonderful things on this earth that we've been given to walk alongside, to enjoy. We meet wonderful people, people that are very much like us, that we can really gel with. And then we can get those that come into our lives and you think, oh, I don't like you. And why don't we like you? Because it's our own toolbox that is checking with you. How do you know? How are you guided on your own spiritual pathway? Well, it's down to the old intuition most of the time. Does it feel right? Does it feel wrong? You know, should I be going this way? And maybe I can go part of the way and learn a little bit more about that later on. But it can get confusing as well. So we have to take one step at a time. One step at a time. That's the only way we can do it. But if you can remember that, you know, there may be those out there that have got loads and loads of money and they seem to have the easier life. Maybe they're learning, maybe they're not. But all those that are going through all the knocks are certainly learning each time. And when you go through these knocks, you will remember again and again, I didn't deal with that too well last time. So I'm going to deal with it better this time. And there are days when things go right for you and you just know that you're on the right pathway. And if you trust your solar plexus, which is your intuition, as I say, something's right, something's wrong, but that's just the way I go. I like to look at where I've gone wrong and I like to improve. I'm far from perfect, as we all know, but I'm a long way from perfect. But you know what? If I can just get one step forward by being who I was meant to be and to share with other people how I feel with them and to share how they feel with me and just make my life happy. There's nothing wrong with making your life happy. That is the spiritual pathway. And when you feel good, you make other people feel good. But I think that's basically where I am.
Yeah, no, that's a very good summarisation. A lot of topics in there that you can go off on. But you did mention one word is resonated. It's about the journey. Because we do tend to agree or disagree. Absolutely, you know, this is a night of discussion, debate. We do tend to want the goal.
Yeah.
We do tend to, I want to be this, I want to be that. And we're not prepared to do the journey. We want that quick fix. I was watching Ab Fab the other night, and Adina, every time she goes out the door, she's got a little Buddha statue, and you all know the character of Adina. Every time she waved flowers, I go ding, 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 ding. Oh, that's it. I'm now spiritual. Right, come on, let's get the bolly out, darlings. You know, and you do see that. It's one of the things with spiritualism is our life is continual.
Yeah.
You know, one day we're all going to do it. We're going to close our eyes in this world and open our eyes in the next world. That progress doesn't stop. We don't suddenly sprout wings. We don't suddenly become ascended masters or whatever. We're just the same as we are here, which opens up a whole different topic. So we won't go down that road.
But life is like you're collecting tools all the way.
Indeed.
And although that may seem insignificant, that you pick that tool up through that problem, further down the road, when you get to a bigger problem, you'll suddenly think, oh, hang on a minute, I've got that tool that'll help me get that job, you know. And we always have choice. The free will that was given to us, we all have choice. And if we've got to get to the other side of the river, do we think, okay, let's jump in and wade through and see if I can make it? Or do we go up to the bridge, which is a long way out of the way, but it's the safer route? You know, it's so hard to make instant decisions because we're not actually built that way. We may think we are, but we're not, because as soon as we make a decision, something else comes of it. And who was it? Einstein said, "For every action there is a reaction."
Yeah.
You know, so whatever you do, there's going to be a reaction, and they're not all bad reactions. They're not bad reactions. Sometimes you do something and you think, "Oh, I've lost out there," and because of your kindness or your goodness to somebody else, it comes back. And suddenly your reaction is what you sent out. So it will come back to you.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in that. What you put out, so shall you receive. I do believe that. But it's this word of spirituality, because especially now in the last 3 years where everything's hit social media so much and different avenues in there, is sort of, to me, spirituality is the big bubble.
Yeah.
And contained therein are all these different reflections. So you've got, I'm very drawn to shamanic side of things. I find that interesting, engaging, and is evidential for me within that. That's in the whole remit of spirituality. So trying to define spirituality is very difficult, isn't it? It is a very difficult thing. But what I'll throw it open to you. What would you think some of the bases are of spirituality? Oh, Sue.
I see spirituality as being aware of our connectedness to all that is, you know, the earth itself, the plant, animal and mineral kingdom, and it's being aware of the energy and the spirit of all the beings here and the beingness of the earth, and where it doesn't necessarily have to be a religion. Everybody, you know, can have their God of their own understanding or make a choice of their religious path or not. But it's your own perception and your approach and feel about where you're at and who you are in this great consciousness, if you like. And so I see spirituality in a broad sense of that connectedness and interaction.
Yeah, that is a really good summarisation.
And you have your choice
Yeah.
to be that way.
Yeah.
I was not, you know, creating any problem with religion, because before I came into this, that was for me. Do you understand? But there are going to be things that you will come across with teachings in one religion, whereas it will be totally different in the next one. And here, just like you said, the bubble, we've got everything in our bubble. We've just got to find it. We've got to appreciate the feelings that we get from everything, you know, and the smallest things that make us really shine, you know, and make other people shine. You know, when you see somebody do a kindness, they go out of their way to do they cross the road just to pick a stick up for somebody or something. That's what makes you feel so warm. You know, that is the journey that I'm on. I'm going to see more of this because I want to see more of this. And I'm thoroughly with you because I love being brought up with everything to do with the Native Americans and their way of life. And to be honest with you, I mean, if there's such a thing as near perfect, I think they had it near perfect because it was all a struggle, but they appreciated everything they got and every lesson was there to be learned and they would not make the same mistakes twice. But it's having everything in that muddle and just knowing this is who I am. Again, as I say, we're all different levels. You know, whoever is up here speaking may be the lowest level in the room. Because they're up here speaking, it doesn't mean they're anything different.
Why are you looking at me like that?
Sorry. Well, I didn't want to mention any names. But sometimes if you walk down the street and shout out, I love my life. I want to be happy. I want to bring happiness to other people. I want to help heal the sick. I want to help people that cannot help themselves. You know, the people are going to be going, well, yeah, that's a loser, that's a weirdo. You know, like that's going to happen. Well, it's only going to happen when we choose to take that pathway and we choose to stay with it until we're happy enough to move on to the next lesson.
Yeah, that's very true. I see sometimes, though, that say if you imagine the big bubble which encompasses all the different practices, sometimes people, everything is a gateway. Religion is a gateway into spirituality. If you actually engage with the Bible on a level, if you engage with the Quran on a level, you can see the spiritual aspect of that, unfortunately. And this is what's happening, and I'm seeing now that people are turning their portion of the bubble into being the nadir, the high point of it. You know, oh, well, you can't do that because you haven't got this crystal on you. Well, actually, I've been doing it before I even knew about that crystal, and I'll probably continue doing it even though I still know about that crystal. So it is, acceptance is the word. And I think that came, you mentioned that word, acceptance. And I think that's one big key to spiritual practices. If you follow that route, do you know what? That's fine. It's not for me. I've had this debate recently with somebody online about things, and they've been flooding me with stuff about what they follow. And I'm going, that's all very nice, but it's not for me.
Yeah.
But then it turns into, oh, well, you're just attacking it because so-and-so. I said, I'm not attacking it. I just said it's not for me. Scuba diving is not for me. Skydiving is not for me. People want to do it. Oh, great, absolutely. And what you're saying about is fine, it suits you, but I believe in this continual evolution of things. And I've done it. In my lifetime, I've got stuck on points. I've got stuck here, I've got stuck there. And earlier on in my life, probably I was a bit too dismissive of others. But you know, it is about that acceptance. Spirituality is all these many, 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 many paths into actually just becoming a better person.
To evolve.
Exactly.
I think it's also like, we just go back to that word acceptance. It's about accepting everybody has their own route to whatever their perception is of where they would like to be. Whether they call it nirvana, heaven, God, Allah, whatever it is.
Valhalla.
Everybody.
I want to go to Valhalla.
You know, it's accepting that there are many different paths and learning not to be judgmental. I mean, part of spirituality, if you like, is learning to know ourselves and understand ourselves, the good, the bad and the ugly, if you like. Yet at the same time, by doing that, it helps to understand others and why they are and where they're at and different things like that. Therefore, we begin to become less judgmental and we develop more empathy and more compassion and more wisdom and then more love for all. But it's actually working on yourself to go through that process which opens up the doors to more.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've shut up now. You did say that.
No, it's nice to see that passion and engagement, and I knew you would when you walked in. I thought, oh, good. Because it is I can hear everybody's mind whirring. Has anybody got any thoughts or anything about what's been said or your own feelings about spirituality? And don't be shy. You know, this is a time of sharing and talking and trying to find. can I pick on you and tell me not to if you're not comfortable with that? You've been here a few times, so what's been leading you on? What is this?
There's been what I would call a bit of a spiritual awakening for me.
Yeah.
Something's clicked. When I was younger, I used to get a lot of. For me, spiritualism is not just about growing and being as a person, but it's about another world as well.
Yeah.
And feeling that other world. And as a younger person, I used to have a lot of. I felt like I was in touch with that, but then I sort of didn't want to entertain that, and I carried on my life as young people do, and did what I did, and I'm just coming back in touch with it now, and it's just finding out, what I'm doing is just searching for some answers to some of the things I'm thinking and feeling that are sometimes a bit unexplainable, really, that are just on this plane.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm familiar with this plane that we're on, and and I'm evolving, I'm growing older, and I'm doing all this stuff.
Maturing. We don't grow older, we mature.
Older, get some wrinkles.
Yeah, like wine, we get better. Except Ted.
Yes, we do get better.
Someone left the cork out of that bottle.
I'm just exploring. I know now there's something else, and that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's driving me now, and I want to get back in touch with the younger person that I was that knew it then, but through my narcissistic love of partying when I was younger, that went somewhere else.
Join that club.
Yeah, that went somewhere else. But now, you know, as a maturer person.
Yeah.
But you took a different pathway. You're talking about the parties and that, but that to you was a pathway.
That's what I
It
wanted
doesn't
to do
have
all
to
the
be
time.
a spiritual pathway. It was a pathway, and it was a pathway you were enjoying, and it was you know, it gave you happiness.
And I'll do it again.
Apart from the next morning, you know. But that is not to be knocked, because again, you are using your own spirituality to test all the different lengths. You know, I mean, it could have gone wonderful, or it could have been the other way.
Yeah.
But you know where you are now, that you want the feeling back that you had
Yeah,
as
I
a
do.
child,
Yeah.
and you know, whether you know it or not, the answer is within you.
That's right.
You just got to do, like you were saying, an awakening.
Oh, and education, it's talking to other people and listening to other people about their experiences will educate you on, well, give you other ideas and educate you on ways people think. And that's the thing, it's about educating myself. I think that's why I've come back
Totally.
to this.
Totally, yeah.
And sometimes I just sit and listen, and I could have sat and listened tonight had I not been
Sorry.
pointed at, and then I've got verbal diarrhea. 'Cause I'm nervous. Yeah, it's about, I've lost my track now, but yeah.
With your verbal diarrhea, as you called it, you will go away tonight and you will find that you've triggered something by having your talk. And it would be something you already knew, but you think, oh, well, maybe I should have used that more.
It's coming out, and rather than being inside.
That's
of it.
right.
Exactly.
Every-
we all have thoughts, don't they?
Yeah,
We go round and round and round, and when you actually verbalise it with people,
You get clarity.
you can actually move on again,
Yeah.
because it does get stuck a little bit.
It does get stuck, and you can't make sense of it on your own.
Yeah.
And you hear other people. Sometimes people speak, and you think, "Oh yeah, I know where you're at," because
Yeah.
I feel like that, and I've had those feelings, or I've had that knowledge, or that weird experience where you think, "I can't explain that," but you think you're cracking up if you just sit on your own with it too much. I think not cracking up, but you're not quite. You're imagining things, perhaps. Then you hear it's other people.
But that-
Experiences.
I love the expression there about went away and party, because I was a disco bunny as well,
Oh, yeah.
very much. But actually now, at this stage, this age of my life, I look back on some of my experiences, and unbeknown and unrealised by me at the time, I had most intense spiritual experiences. I mean, in Heaven, the nightclub in London, the Villiers Street, which was lasers and what?
Yeah.
But just by talking with people and actually having that chance to exercise compassion or common sense or straight talking or whatever. And when you look back on that, when you look back on all our lives, we're all amazing. Each and every one of us is amazing, because every day we've touched other people's lives. Now, how have we touched their life? You know, have we pushed them under the bus, metaphorically, I hasten to add, or have we actually gone, do you know what, I'm going to try and help you? And it's not even a conscious thought process, because it comes from that spirit within. It is that expression. I've met amazing people who work in some of the most hideous conditions with people, addictions and other afflictions, but they are amazing spiritual people. They don't walk in there, you know, with ding ding dings and sandals and flowy dresses and Laura Ashley all over and all that. They're down to earth, straight talking people. But by God, do they help people? You know, we had a guy on from the Veterans Hub down in Weymouth. Amazing place for people suffering from PTSD. And he's a very straight talking gentleman. He was the second person to swear on one of our Saturday nights online. But he didn't mind, because this guy was just working to help other people. That is, to me, one of the biggest expressions of spirituality, is not seeking others' validation on what he does. And this is something we tend to, I think, at times put too much emphasis on. You know, I don't go down the road, help somebody and come back on Facebook and say, I picked an old lady up. You just do it. Things I've been doing today for other people. I'm not banging it all out there because I don't want the validation. I don't need validation. That's sometimes a bit of a sticking point. You don't do to be seen, you do. It's as simple as that.
And that's your spirituality.
Exactly.
Because
yeah.
it's things happening that sometimes you don't have control over. It's like when you say somebody falls over. You know, you're either one of those that stands and laughs, or you're one of those that feels straight away for that person, and you're there picking them up. Yeah. And that is the spirituality, your spiritual self overriding your material self. Say, you know, normally I wouldn't do this, but because I'm not thinking, yeah. I'll go in and do this. And the spirituality comes out in so many different ways. You know, I mean, you look at these people that just dive into a freezing river to save somebody. You know, some people get in and don't even get out, but they've only gone in to help. You know, I mean, that's your inner self saying, I can't see another person suffer. Yeah. And that is all you want in life, is to make sure that people don't suffer. So you can do your tiny little bit or huge bit in there. And I just think it's amazing that you feel the way you do once you've kind of dived in and not thought about it.
Yeah.
Because I think it's almost like a subconscious, isn't it? Your spiritual is the subconscious rather than the conscious. We sometimes get the two mixed around the wrong way, I think.
Yeah, this is subjective and objective views on it. But sometimes that spirituality comes over in the expression of realising somebody's got an issue or a need that needs resolving that isn't in your remit, and trying to help would actually probably make things worse. But you can at least try and signpost people on, just say, I can't help you with that. I've not been through, I've never experienced what you're going through. I don't understand it. And in some cases, there's things that I don't want to deal with because I know my emotional body would react, which is not going to improve the situation. So it's another expression of your spirituality, but just being honest, you know, and not sort of go, oh yeah, don't worry about it, or jumping in and making it worse. So, you know, sometimes the things that we do, we may feel as though we've failed. We actually haven't, because we might have found a bigger failure had we jumped in and tried to help somebody and actually make that situation worse, because we don't have the knowledge to handle addictions, we don't have the knowledge to handle abusive situations. But we can always try and express that to signpost on. How about you, young man at the back? If you don't, yes, not you. I said young, and I meant it this time. No, that's all right. We'll do that young man first.
I was just thinking, I was thinking more about conversion. People who some reason or other, I've got no interest in religion. But many years ago, I worked with a butcher who was a devout Christian. Now, he was a chap who'd been in the war. And we were talking one day about different things. And I said, what turned you into being a devout Christian? He said, well, when the war started, he said, and we were facing the enemy, he said, we were all wondering what was going to happen. And he said, when the first bullet was fired, there was 1 million conversions on both sides of the line.
Mm. Yeah.
And he said, I saw that time and time again.
They used to call it Foxhole Conversion, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
The first word you heard was, God help us.
Yeah.
Mm.
It did. It did.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It was somebody mentioned to me before when we were discussing different religions and things like that, and somebody said to me, "Well, I'm an atheist." I said, well, "That's your choice." Yeah, well, there isn't anything. We just come here, blah 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 blah. So he said, "Nothing you can tell me can make me think anything other than there's nothing there. You know, there's no God, there's no this, there's a..." And straight away, as he said, when there's no God, it's just like this little voice went in the back of my head, and without even thinking, I turned out and just said, "Do you know what? Even the strongest atheist in time of pain or fear will say, 'Oh God.'"
Yes.
Mm.
Where's it come from? You know, but again, you know, he's got his free will,
Yes.
and despite what was said, he will go on his own way. But one day, he will look back and think, "Do you know what? I think I wasted some time." But he did it his way, and that is what we were given with the free will, that we're allowed to make those changes, we're made to make those decisions. We're allowed to go back over the things that we got wrong the first time and make them work the second time. And because of those lovely, brave people, we're as free as we are today.
Yes.
Thank God.
Sorry, if you'd like to join in, if not, absolutely.
Well, about 7 or 8 years ago, I was out, you know, partying and drinking and stuff.
Yeah,
And
this is a good church,
now
this
it-
is.
now
I love my congregation.
I thought I was happy. Now, like, in hindsight, I can tell you I wasn't happy. I was severely depressed. At the time, I thought I was happy, and then one day in my bedroom, I vividly remember this, and it was like, the only way I can describe it is a religious epiphany, and this wave of energy came over me, and I just kind of snapped out of it, and I said, and it wasn't a thought or anything, it was just, I can't put it into words, and I thought, I've been making these wrong decisions. And then I thought, well, and then I realised, hang on a minute, I've been unhappy for that X amount of years. So literally from that moment, I thought, no, you can only blame yourself. To change it, you have to make the right decisions, like you know we've been talking about. And I've always been kind and courteous to people, but I haven't been kind and courteous to myself. And ever since those few years ago, I've kind of turned my life around. Now I'm like, I don't really get anxious anymore, and I'm happy. You know, like all those things that I thought was making me happy, well, apart from football, don't make me happy anymore. And I've always loved my history. Always, like, me and my granddad used to take me to World War II reenactment days and stuff, and been in a few history books. And I know this is probably a little bit off topic, because I do believe that spiritualism is a personal thing. I also believe it's a group thing, because when I'm reading these history books from, I don't know, it might be Mesoamerica or in Iraq or Iran, there's always good versus evil. And when I think of it like that, I think, well, I was not doing bad stuff to other people, but I wasn't in the light because I wasn't doing any good for myself. And then you always get these people when you walk down the road, they're moaners, they're always moan about something. And it's like they're moaning because they're not making themselves happy in the first place by making those right decisions. So if you even if you do one little thing a day, before you know it, you've already changed your mentality that you are being good. And ever since that wave of energy came over me, I don't know what it was, yeah, it kind of cured me in some respects. It kind of like opened me up and awoken to me. And then, you know, when I was younger and my granddad died, I did go to church, but it didn't really fulfill me. And then that's why I've started coming here for the last month, because I look at the world and I don't, you know, obviously there is good, but I see a lot of dark things in there. And I thought, well, the only way I can make a difference, rather than thinking, well, I can, is to do it. You can only change it if you do it yourself. And I might only be able to change one or two people's, but I believe in the effect. Whereas if you help someone, they might spread that little bit to someone else, and it's a spider web. And if everyone did that every day, then there'd be a lot more good in the world. I just think there's, like you were talking about social media and stuff, there's a lot of self-absorbed people in the world, and especially like my age and younger, like, because I never grew up with the iPhones and all this jazz, and now, like, you see all the kids there, all the parents, they're not really parenting, and they've got the screen in front of their kids to keep them quiet rather than entertain them or taking them out, teaching them what birds are flying, and, like, I enjoy going on hikes and, how many deer am I going to see today, just little things like that. It's the little pleasures, and I think it's a lot of it's missed. I'll round it up, but then and then when I was thinking about spirituality, so I don't really, because like you said, everyone's got different questions, and I don't believe there is a right way, like you were saying, but I also believe that, because I used to be quite an atheist when I was a kid, I was mumbo jumbo, but when I got older and you learn about the Big Bang and the universe is constantly expanding, when you're talking about everyone on their own journey, and if you think of that as consciousness, if everyone, when they pass, goes onto a higher plane, then that consciousness would constantly be expanding. So I kind of think that the universe that we are in now living is expanding because of the consciousness that everyone is, when they're leveling up and making progression, because when you're a child to where you are now, you're wiser and you have that experience, and I think that adds to the expansion of the universe. Don't ask me how or why I think that. And then sometimes I think maybe there could be reincarnate. I don't know about that. I just sometimes, like when Mozart was like 9 or 10 and he's composing these great symphonies, and I'm thinking, how can someone who's never been educated be making these celebrated pieces of music? And yeah, that's basically like a 3 hour, X amount long in about a space of 5 minutes. So,
yeah, do you know what? You've just restored a little bit of my faith in the human race.
thank you.
And I'm not being anything other than honest. That is so nice to hear.
I've told probably about 3 or 4 people about that in my life, so it's actually quadruple that.
Apart from the 20 million on the camera now. And I think you need to take a look at where you were and what you've become. And I think you need to, in that story, you need to say, what credit did I give myself? Because, it takes a lot to change. We can all change little bit by little bit, and it takes years to do it. But to change the ways and everything, and, you've got to give yourself credit for that.
Yeah, thank you.
People don't give you enough credit, and you've got to say to yourself, do you know what? I did that. And where you are in life, you can now say to somebody else that's in the same frame, that you know how they feel, how they're doing. So many people in life say, oh, I'm sorry, I know how you feel, but they don't, because they haven't experienced it yet. You've experienced it, and you've had that opportunity to grasp it, which you did. And it can only be applauded, because you have to give yourself love before you can give love to anybody else. And when you're talking about energies, you are totally right. I mean, everybody's going their own different ways, but we are, when we want to be, a collective energy. If everybody put their energies here together tonight, we could change so much. But because we're human, Mr. Bloggs believes that, but up to that point, but you believe that up to that point, and so you can't really move it together. But when you can say, do you know what, I'm going to do this on my own, and whoever joins me, we're just going to get bigger and better. But I can understand what you're saying about the first time you share something as well, because there's nothing worse, but it's nothing better once you've said it.
Mm. No, that was really good. Mine's buzzing here because honestly, and again, that was so good to hear. You know, we are conditioned into having the next newest phone, the next newest car, the better job, the more income. You know, and we were very much on that treadmill pre-COVID. How often did we say in 2017, 18, 16, 15, 14, oh my God, it's Christmas already, where did the year go? Because we just got onto this treadmill, this never-ending treadmill of work, sleep, eat, repeat. And to have the bigger and better things because they will improve your life. Well, the COVID years, nobody wanted it. Nobody wanted it. However, Foxhole Conversion, every bad thing has a counterbalance of a good thing. And this is what we're seeing now. People have actually stopped and reviewed their life and gone, well, actually, what is valuable in my life? Is it this £600 phone, or is it me being happy? Is it me being, you know, spending one day a week, because I used to work on the railways, and the regular commuters would be spending one day a week commuting back and forth to London, totally at the whim and the mercy of the railways. You know, if you were delayed for 6 hours, tough. If you can get there any quicker, off you go, sort of thing. And people are just actually going, I want more of a work-life balance, because we've started to realise actually what really does make us happy, or what has maybe exposed something missing. You know, community was one of the big effects of the COVID years. People actually were thankful for community. You know, the success here of Paul Church is because of the community that's grown within it. In towns and cities, you know, towns and villages, people were helping each other, and it was like, oh my God, you know, we had that opportunity to take the blinkers off. Sadly, we're seeing people now putting the blinkers back on. That's fine, but there's a lot more people looking at the true value of life, the real things that count, the friendships that you can have, the days like today started off wet, grey, miserable, and at 12 o'clock it was bright and sunny, and it was sort of like, oh God, that makes me feel so much better. You know, I've enjoyed this. But yeah, that was really interesting. And never decry our own presence. You know, I've often said this, every great religion, every great movement, every great society, every great nation, all started with the thoughts of one person. You know, oh, what can I do? I love what you said there about the spider's web. Yeah, be happy. You know, two reasons to be happy. Number one, it will really annoy people who don't want you to be happy. So the more they get annoyed, the happier you get. Number two, rapidly, it is true. A smile is infectious. A good deed is infectious. You know, and being that person, and being that solid person, being that person who is always walking that gentle path, and without, you know, flying off the handle here, there and everywhere, people relate to them. People will actually look to them for inspiration. People will go and talk to them because they know they're dependable, they know they're solid, they know they're happy. So it does spread out, it does have an effect. What do you think?
It makes me think when the gentleman was saying about, you know, getting out into the open and the excitement of like, what am I going to see today? You know, what am I going to bump into here? You know, and when I go around and see my granddaughters, they're usually, hello, Grandpa. You know, and they generally get up and go in the bedroom because they know what's coming next. I say, how long have you been on that? And it's like, we've only just got on it, and of course the mum will go, pardon? So I will sit there and I will say, oh, by the way, we're going for a walk. Okay, off you go, Grandpa. And no, we're going for a walk. So, well, I've got to finish this game. No, you haven't. We're going for a walk. I managed to get the mum to put the bits to one side, get their coats on. We went out into the shops first, and then round into the country bit. And And whereas they were sitting in the house when they got there and it was like, you know, face down, draw a mouth down, you know, not happy. When we were out, it was like laughing, pushing, shoving, you know, jumping in a puddle just to see my reaction because they only had their trainers on. But when you see that transformation, it's exactly as you say. It's like they had the choice. Well, they didn't in this case, but I did. I had the choice to take them out into the outside. And it made so much difference. And I think, you know, we need to be out there. We need to be out into this because we're all part of it.
Yeah.
You know, we are nature. Whichever way you look at it, we are nature. Until we move on from this coil to the next, we are nature. And I think we're lacking that.
Mm.
You know, it's the same when you walk down the road, isn't it? And you smile at somebody and they go, and you think, okay. And then you try. I tried once to do 10 to see how many smiles I could get, and I got 3. And I think one of the guys was drunk anyway. And I think he was smiling because he was happy anyway. But the changes that we can make, again, actions and reactions.
Yeah.
You know, hard work, but what you got out of it is fantastic.
And it leads us on also to that realisation. We've talked about conversions. You know, the human race, we tend to polarise between looking for a saviour figure or somebody to blame, or both. But actually the real truth is that one person is the face that stares back at you from the mirror every day. That is the person that's going to save you. That is the person to blame when you could have done better. It was interesting about your choices there between good and not good. Where is it? In the Quran, they say that you're born with 2 angels, one on each shoulder. And one is recording all the good deeds, and one is recording all your not so good deeds. You know, I don't like the word evil. I always think it's just uneducated, and no matter where it's applied. And I know that's quite hard sometimes with people. It is about education. All the spiritual books I've read, they're always going on about education, education, education. It was Stanton Moses' book of, 1876. Stanton Moses was a Christian minister, and he was doing automatic writing. Are we familiar with what that is? If anybody's not? No? Automatic writing, you know, like you saw on Sunday with trance, when Carla was talking. Similar energy, but it's in your writing, because you'll just sit there writing stuff out.
You had a chap all the way back that had that.
Yeah.
That he was writing, but it wasn't coming like from him. It was.
That's it. So it's an expression of mediumship. Instead of being verbal, like Roy and myself are, we give the spirit the verbal voice. It's through the writing. But anyway, Stanton Moses has a number of his books. And he said to his guide, he said, these things you're proposing, he was talking about spiritualism and the wider teaching of it and dissemination. He said, it will upset a lot of the more orthodox religions. And also, how does that affect where we currently exercise the death penalty? And the response, his team's response from the spirit world, I can't do it word for word, but we're saying if you would only realise it is only through education that you can raise these spirits' vibration. The way you're doing it at the moment and just killing them, you're creating chaos in the spirit world by throwing over a load of uneducated spirits into the spirit world where we have to work on this education with them. And that really resonated with me. But again, you tie it in with you can't help everybody. You haven't got the right tools to help everybody. And you can only put the food on the table, you can't make people eat. Anyway, sorry.
With so many different levels, I know I keep saying this, but it's imperative that we realise that everybody's at different levels.
Yeah.
You know, you probably get this thing yourself when somebody comes up to you and they've just had their first message or something, and they're talking to you and they go, "Oh, you must have good lives mediums." Then if you're having a laugh. If you go through some of the things I've gone through in my life, it's like it's not about a good life. It's about learning from where I was to where I am now, you know, and they say, oh, well, you obviously can't do nothing wrong. Ask my mum that. You ask my mum if I could do anything wrong when I was that big, because I was always there. I had a permanent handprint on the back of my head from the local bobby, because he used to say to me, I'll give you one of them around the back of the head or I'll take you home to your mum. Well, I was going to get one of them anyway. So I would say, you know, take it. But we're at so many different levels, and as you say, these people that kill, they say, yeah, they knew they killed. They knew they, you know, so therefore they should be killed. But there's no lesson in that. There's no lesson for us, because we are sending somebody over there, and we're sending them over there for the same reason as they did to somebody on the earth.
Yeah.
So we've got so much education to learn, and we've got to help those that just don't understand.
Yeah, and that is a really, really hard concept to get your head around. And a lot of people will disagree, and that's fine. We were allowed to disagree and still remain friends. But yeah, it is about education. It is about, you know, coming from the spirituality aspect. There is nothing which I say is in the realm of spirituality. There are some things coming forward at the moment I'm dubious of, that doesn't preach that we are somehow better than other people, that we are the ones who may be saved but other people will get left behind or whatever. People will just evolve at their own, it's the way these things sometimes are put over. People will evolve at their own pace. You know, the old saying about horse or water can't make them to drink. That's fine. But if we wrap that in, that knowledge of the continuity of life, we're not talking about this lifetime, because the conditions and social pressures of this time are probably adding to that burden. But at another time, that education is always available there to carry on. And
there's always somebody on your pathway that teaches you something.
Oh, very much.
You know, that's the good thing. You know, I mean, lots of people are changed because Dad took more of an interest in them, or their grandpa took more of an interest in them, like turned the steering wheel for them, and show them what life is supposed to be about. And I think, you know, when they used to say in the old days or during the war, you know, you tend to think, well, that's a bit, you know, but I'm doing this to my kids now, you know, and not during the war, but I'm taking them back to what we had, what we made of things, you know, and you sit there and say, listen, the trouble is kids these days is, it's got not to do with bored, it's that they're lazy, they got to get out and find things, you know, but I can remember telling my granddaughters that, you know, it wasn't perfect. What did you do that was wrong, Grandpa? And once you kind of tell them one thing, it kind of builds. And I forget, my daughter's sitting there as well. and I'm saying, oh, we used to get on the slide, the big slide in the field, and the tractor would come around and it would gather up all the grass and it'd leave it there, and then we'd make different buildings with this. Oh, right, is that all you did? Well, no, we used to put a big pile, and instead of going down the slide, we used to jump off the top and then into the haylight, you know, and my daughter was going, Dad, don't give them ideas. Don't give them ideas. But, you know, you always think that your generation or your part of life is better than anybody else's. And I know that this is where we're going wrong in a way, because we're telling those kids what they should be doing and not discussing what they think would make them happier.
Yeah. And it's also, you could sidestep that and look at the energies of those. Our examples are pertinent to that time, but the energies are timeless.
Yeah.
Party bunnies. You know, kids today are going out having
You've got
parties.
a new name now.
You know, it's all about the energy of that, because it wasn't, you know, all right, we have the disco, I did this, I did that. You know what, I was so lucky in my formative years. I know I have an addictive personality, but I work with an alcoholic, I work with a gambler, I work with a drug user, and they frighten the life out of me. I didn't get frightened because of their journey. I got frightened because I could sense that with my addictive personality, I could have gone down any of those routes, because at that time, All right, your parents teach you and do the best to give you the right tools to go out, but once you're out there in the world and meeting with people, you're still looking for boundaries, you're still looking for guidance in a way. And as I said, I was just so grateful to those three souls coming into my life at exactly the right time. Exactly the right time. They put the fear of God at me about drug use, they put the fear of God at me about gambling, they put the fear of God at me about drinking. Well, I didn't sink into about another 10 years, but never mind. I learned in the end. That's my motto. But yeah, but again, you know, if we come back to the spirituality side of it, that was my spiritual, nice word, epiphany there, of going, oh my God, that could be me. That could well be me. And I've got a choice. That can be me, or that won't be me. And thank God I made...
I think of people's spiritual pathways. Have you ever seen these pictures online of how many aeroplanes there are in the air at the same time, and how many are crossing each other's pathways and everything else? That, you know, it is so perfect for the way we are at the moment. You know, we might just miss this person, but on the way back, when we get round the other side of the world, we may pass them again. Yeah. So, you know, it's all about leaving who you really are with them so that you can pick it up at a later date. And I think, you know, it's just one of those things that everybody has their own spiritual opinion, everybody has their own level of spirituality, but we've all got the option to change.
Yeah, yeah. And that is a big thing, isn't it? It's a progression. In the principles of spiritualism, progression of the human soul. And I don't like the word human, because why should it just be human? But anyway, progression of this. And it is about progressing. You know, we're terrible, aren't we? How many people love change? Oh, there's a surprise.
Is it just one?
Just the one. But we were born to change. Our body is going to change us. You know, the conditions of our physical body will affect our social interactions with people.
I am learning to like change. I am knowing that if I avoid this change, maybe I'm going backwards and it's going to come back again. So let's see where I go with it, you know. And when I start off, no, I'm not happy with it because I don't know what's at the end. And that's the problem with us all. If we don't know, with a human mind, it's like, if I knew the end, I'd be happy. But then it wouldn't be a challenge. It wouldn't be a change because it was already there. So, you know, I'm embracing change, and I'm kind of feeling that I like it. When I moved here, you know, back home in Surrey, the whole family lived literally a block around you. Round that road was one part of the family, and all that. And something said to me, "You got to move away." And I thought, yeah, right, I'm going to do that. Everybody's, you know, and they were all saying to me, "Nobody's ever left Surrey." You know, you can't do that. You can't do that. You can't be the first one to move off. And I'm thinking, well, maybe they're right. Maybe they're right. And it was only because I used to come down here, and I used to visit a friend, a best friend from the first day of school. And a few years ago, he was saying, "When are you going to move down here? When are you going to move down?" I said, "Yeah, well, you know, buy the flat under me. Buy the flat under me." You know, yeah, okay. And we were going on like that, and then all of a sudden, like, he said, "You're not going to move down." I said, "I am going to move down. I want to be near the sea and everything else." And then one day, at a time I was working in Canada, he rang me up and said, "I've got cancer." And I said, "Well, you know, we'll work with that. You know, prayer and everything. We'll work with that." And 2 days later, his daughter rang me on his phone. I thought, he's obviously a bit down, so it was his daughter saying he'd gone. And to me, it was like, why didn't I do this? I could have had more time with my mate and everything else. So part of me said, it's not too late. Do it now. You still want this and you still want that. And that's where I went. And actually, I thought, when I come down here, I'll retire. I won't do any more mediumship. I'll just do what I want to do.
Wrong.
Yeah. And it's just like one thing after another happens, and you're back in the saddle again. But that thought that we could have had months together, fishing, laughing, doing what we want to do, and I'd actually taken that away from myself because of fear of change. There's no way I was going to get the flat underneath him anyway, because he could be so bloody awkward. But it was going. And you know the nice thing is, he's with me all the time, and I could even be working up here, and I'll even get something said. And the first time he came in, I must share this. First time I came in, I had a sitter at my home, and we were rolling through, and I heard this voice, and I thought, "What's that?" Then I thought, "Okay." So I carried on, and then suddenly, in my mind's eye, I could see my mate standing and say, "Oh, this is how it works, is it?" And I say to the lady, "I'm sorry, my friend's just come in." And she's kind of looking for the front door, thinking somebody had come into the house. But you have to remember that life is short. Take the changes, go with it. You know, if it doesn't work that time, it's going to work the next time. So just got to go with it. You know, trust that feeling there, because it won't let you down. It's the biggest indication you've got of where to go and how to do it. If you trust your intuition, or your mother's intuition, or gut instinct, whatever you call it, you'll never go far wrong. But I'm finding that I can get used to change, and even people around me are saying, "You never used to be like that. You used to say doing that's going to cost me money," or "No, that's going to do this." And now they say, "You're doing what?" And it's great, actually, because you've got a whole new lifeline. You've got something else to talk about. You know, this twit went on the zip wire from Bournemouth Pier, simply because somebody said to me, "No, you're too old to do that." Okay. And then they said, "They won't let you on, you're too old." And we went on there, and it was like, I am so scared of heights. It is unbelievable. Even going up those horrible steps, and everything was getting higher and higher. And I got to the top there, and I was literally shaking. I thought, but I'm going to do this. It's change. I've got to do it. And I can remember there was a little boy there, and he was saying to his dad, "I don't want to go on." So his dad was saying, "The thing is, we've got to go all the way back down the stairs. I don't want to go on." So I decided to tell this little boy how scared I was. And I decided to tell him how brave he was to have even come up the stairs. So anyway, so I said, "Well, I'm going. If you're not going, I'm going." So they strapped me on, and I went. And then when they got down the bottom, he was laughing and joking. And it's like, I always think of kids going, again.
Yeah.
You know, but change is there for a reason. If we didn't change, there would be no evolution. We would not evolve at all. And for some of us to be stuck in the mud is a terrible thing. But yeah, let's have change. Let's change the world.
Brilliant. There's a comment here online from lovely Keith. People want certainty in their lives. Nothing makes sense and nothing has any value. Some idea that there's something better ahead and another way has emerged. And he's just going back a bit in the conversation, talking about the opening up of spirituality since 2020.
Yeah.
Where people are now exploring things. People have... The way it happened, I don't condone, but we needed it. We needed, if it wasn't that way, it would have been another way. We needed that shake up, that way, wake up. I know this is a phrase often used in some ways I'm a bit dubious about, but it is about a waking up. It is about realising, you know what, where's the true value? I've got $1 million here, or having a friend by my side.
Yeah.
Well, actually, the friend by my side. Yeah, right. I wouldn't sell for $500,000. It's going down. It's going down. But yeah, because we are these spiritual beings. We are here having this experience. We are here to go through our life plans. I always think of life plans a little bit like a tree. It's the best way that I can explain it in a physical way, that each decision we make, we go along a different branch, but all those branches have got goals and purposes, and sometimes we go along a branch and have to backtrack and go around it another way. But yeah, we are here to learn, to grow.
And when you're talking about change seems so hard, I mean, so many people have changed because they've seen so many loved ones, friends, relatives over the COVID who lost their lives, young ones, older ones, And I think people are saying, do you know what, if that can take me, I need to get on with my life and enjoy it.
Yeah.
But we are restricted by so many things, you know, money and you know, our beings, our upbringings. We're so tied up. We need to be able to break loose. And that is spiritual in itself, to embrace what's coming.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I bet there's 90% of people here have got some point in their mind that go, I'd like to change that,
Yeah.
but I can't. So change it and see what happens.
And that's one of our, I always tell people off for that. If we say, I can't do that, do you know what?
Won't.
You won't be able to do it. Why? Because you just said, I can't do that. So that's your programming, you know, just going, I can't do that. I may not be able to do that, or that may not be right for me, or maybe not at this time, or I'll leave that to a later date, or whatever. But especially within spiritualism, you see people, I can't get up and do that. Well, you know, you can't now because you just said that to yourself. You know, it's just finding that little bit of bravery within to try. I mean, we've had two lovely people give really in-depth thoughts tonight, which is absolutely brilliant, and thank you so much for sharing them. But yeah, we shouldn't tell ourselves we can't do anything. Just go, yeah, I'll give it a go, or maybe not now, or later. Your wonderful yes, you.
Me?
Yes,
Oh,
you.
God, I knew you were going to speak now. I'll sit there.
You've had cake, you've now got to pay for it.
Early, you mean?
When you got up and gave a talk on one of the family gathering days, you were terrified.
Oh,
You were-
Christmas then.
yeah,
Oh yeah, dressed up as Mother Christmas.
yeah. You were out, but you were like, oh my God, and you got up here and you shone. The lovely Ted over
Oh.
there gets up, and the other people here tonight, Lynn, if I've left anybody out, forgive me, it's just because I've forgotten. But people are finding that bravery to do things just that slightly out of the norm. To just push. You know, how good did you feel when you got down?
Relieved.
Oh. How good did you feel when you got over the relief with the second
Oh.
glass of wine?
No, I did it. I was really glad I did it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I really was.
Yeah. Because and it makes us feel good.
It's an achievement.
Yeah,
You've
it makes us
achieved.
feel good. My God, I tackled my nightmare. I tackled my fear.
And you could never say again, I can't do that.
Yeah,
In that respect, because you have done it. You'll never go back.
yeah. Lovely Sonia here will be up talking one day, but
What happens when you're the sort of person like, all right, I'm going to say this about myself now. I could get up on this. I work with children with disabilities, so we used to do a lot of shows. Because I love music and dancing, I'd like design things, and we'd get up and I would be, you know, doing everything. Never ever bothered. I could walk into a pub on my own and just get a drink. I've always had that sort of confidence. But as I've got older, as much as I would love to get up and say a few things, you know, about spiritualism and life, certain aspects in my life and how things come about, I couldn't do it.
You've
Do it now.
you've brought yourself to a level
Yeah.
where you believe that you can't go forward. That you've wasted too much time. You can't go forward. You know, every action has a reaction. Your action is, I'm not going to get up there because. The reaction is, it's going to continue that way.
Yeah, but see, now I love this church, and a bit about spiritualism, you can write, there's loads of people in here, and instantly you know that there's something about that person, right? And you have a thing.
Yeah, a rapport. Yeah.
And I could still go to parties, and I've gone to like a garden party with my friends, and I've been there, and I'm laughing, joking, get up and dance on my own, start off the dancing, even back from last year. But I wouldn't have the confidence to get up and do what you're doing now.
But we're doing what we're doing from experience. So we've had years of this, you know, and as I said to you earlier on, I get up here
Yeah.
and I shake like a leaf. That has never stopped. that has never stopped. And you know what? I was so tempted to say to you, stop what you're saying, bring your chair up, and then tell us. No, I'm serious. Because the restrictions are yours. But you've got the key to lifting those restrictions. You know, and you talking amongst your friends there is no different than talking up here. You know, your mind does overtime, it's true. It's like, oh, they're going to think this is a load of old rubbish. You know, like that. Or even when we've done the mediumship. You know, we walked out there, oh, I wasn't happy with that, wasn't happy with that. Yet people will come up to you and say what they felt. You're only giving what you know. Nobody's going to say, right, get up here and give 2 hours talk on architecture. Okay, well, I know nothing about architecture, how can I do that? Well, if I said to you, get up and talk about being a wife, a husband, a mother, a father, you've got knowledge of that. So you could sit there, and once you do, that's like me with my nervous, I start talking too much. Yeah. You know, but you could do it. And I suggest, excuse me saying this, right. I suggest when you are working here, that this young lady does the chair.
Okay.
You would have everything on a piece of paper, so you're going to say about 8 things. That's all.
Chairman's job is easy.
I wouldn't want to embarrass Lawrence.
Why would you embarrass me?
I've seen how you've said to Sue, you're up with me today.
But, Chrissy, you said something interesting. You said about going to parties, you're the first one to get up there dancing. Yeah. You'll start the dancing off. I don't do that.
Or me. I couldn't do it.
Yeah. I'd get out. You've seen braces in the washing machine. That's my dancing. So
I'll dance with you one day.
People have their shines.
Yeah.
People have their shines. But we shouldn't say, oh, well, I can't do what they're doing. That's fine, because they can't do what you're doing.
Yeah, but you remember me saying to you, I'm not a very educated person. I missed a hell of a lot of schooling. And that would be my downfall. In a funny kind of way. I know, Roy, how you speak is great because you're natural.
I don't know about that. Thank you.
But what I'm saying is, I would have to talk naturally from the heart. I couldn't put long words in or anything like that.
Sue is jumping up and down to jump in here. Just do it.
The joy, because I just think speaking from the heart and speaking as you that's the greatest thing that connects to people who are in the congregation, who are online, or wherever it is that you're actually speaking. That's absolutely wonderful, and it's the sort of thing that actually inspires other people to think, I'm brave enough to take that leap of faith. Because I was going to say about the lady over there who spoke earlier, the young man over here who shared so much to everybody, and you think, yeah, that's about life, that's about community, and that's the sort of thing that really touches people's hearts, and they think, do you know what, it scares me to death, but I can actually do that.
Do you know what, on a spiritual level, when you have got, people say to me, oh my God, you know, you're just so natural up there, because I am me.
Yeah.
You know, if I was to stand here and go, oh, would you all join me in prayer, that would not be me.
Yeah.
You know, and it is about being us, it's about expressing ourselves. And ourselves today are the result of everything we've been through. Every interaction we've done, every step along that spiritual pathway we've done.
Can you tell me what the difference is between you sitting there and addressing these people as you have, and sitting up here and addressing them? You're talking, you're saying exactly what you want to say.
It's only a question of left chairs there, yours is here, but you've been speaking in front of everybody.
See, up here, you'd have to comb your hair.
That's what they told me, and look what happened to me. It's not even a confidence thing, I don't think. It's just knowing that, oh, sorry, I just saw an orb go across that threw me. Somebody's taken my brain away here now. You were talking about your question, whatever you wanted to say it. Yeah. And it's no different if you say it up here. And I know it's because you think people are watching you. Well, they are. But, you know, most of the time, when you're talking, I don't even look at people's faces. I will look above their heads, and I will work that way. You know, if you were coming up here for the first time to do clairaudience or clairvoyance, and you'd never ever done it before, I would be worried for you. But then you'd probably do brilliant anyway. But you're already doing it. You're treating this as the devil and the deep blue sea. You know, if you're up here, then you're stuck.
About me.
Probably are. No. But you're already doing it. And that's what's amazing. We don't realise we're doing it. You come out with some good information there that everybody can take. You know, I couldn't do this, I couldn't do that. There was one day that we, working up here, have said the same thing. I can't get up there. And the very first day I got up here, my nan, God bless her, who's my mentor in the spirit world, she taught me as much as she could apart from the circles. And the first day I stood up on a rostrum, this is no word of a lie, the lady introduced me and said, "I'll leave the rest to you." And I went, and it was like somebody glued my backside to the chair. And when I got to that far, the legs were shaking so much I had to sit down again. And I could just hear my nan's voice saying, "Well, come on, this is what you've worked for. This is what you've got to do. Get up." And it was like just that little bit of encouragement to get up there. But I would suggest you do a little bit of just...
I mean, I know most people.
That's not the
It's
point.
different.
That's not the point.
But if
You're
the
still
church
giving the
is
information.
right. No, I'm fine as I am. I like a laugh. Lawrence is a bit coming round and chatting.
I'll tell you what. One day you come up here and I'll go and sit there. There you are.
Won't be able to tell none of you nothing.
But it is, you know, this is a lovely reflection. You're very well liked, Christine, and you sat there squirming now, I know, inside. You're very well liked because you talk straight, you're open to debate, you know, you don't come in dictatorial, you're open to debate, you look at your interactions with the bereavement group and the people who come there, and you're not, again, we're coming back to the validation word, you're not looking for people's validation. You know, this is me, this is my thoughts. What do you think?
Everyone's good here, aren't they? There's just something nice about.
But Christine, you might just say one thing that triggers something
Yeah.
that really helps somebody else.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
That's all. You know, be you, and yeah, I hope you take the opportunity when it comes along.
Sitting at the back now.
That's the worst place to be. You'll find if you're going to get picked on, it's the people at the back that get picked on.
But in spiritualism, it's not about making everybody an evidential medium, but it is about everybody has got awareness and sensitivity. And it is through coming and learning either here or on books or online or other church. I don't care where you go, seriously. It's increasing that sensitivity, which is part of your spirituality. It's that reflection of that spirit within you. And that awareness and how we interact with people, how we talk with each other, how we treat ourselves. You know, seriously, how we treat ourselves, because it all starts with you. If you're not at peace, how are you going to find peace? You're just going to cement, referring back to the gentleman's talk earlier on, had all the physical things of life, but I'm not happy. So while I'm still unhappy, I'm going to go out and buy another phone or another coat or another new pair of trainers, but I'm still not happy. And it's like trying to cover up the true you with stuff, which we do because we fall foul to, you know, society of, why haven't you got the latest phone? Why shouldn't you see my phone? It's like a brick. And it works. I'm happy with that. Seriously. But yeah, it is about increasing your sensitivity, and whether it's through spiritualism or your different routes in spirituality, it's all for the good. It's all for the good. I've got some great mates who practice different aspects of spirituality. They're not for me, in fact one terrifies me, but they're not for me, but I can see the change within them, and I can see the change within the people in their groups and where they teach, and that's fine. You know, there's the same light through a different window. That's how we look at progression.
You've already said you know these people. So, you know, to get up here
And they
with,
still
when you've got the
talk to you.
people that you know, it can only aid you. You know, you know it. And do you know what? There's always half a dozen in the congregation thinking the same way as you. And they will see you get up and they think, oh, I wish I could have the guts to get up and do that. And it's not guts, as long as you know what you're going to say. You know, you say it your way. No two people are alike. But it's an experience, and I think it's one of those experiences you shouldn't miss. And that's not just me trying to get as many people to do it so that I can make them feel the way I felt.
I wish I hadn't said this.
You would enjoy it. The minute you stepped off, you'd be in another, not another world. I won't say that, but you would be
No, I'm right.
you would be feeling so different. You would be feeling so different. And it's comforting up here. It's warm up here. You know, you just feel, there's energy up here as well. You got to remember that.
Oh yes.
Once you're up trying to do your bit, the energy will be around you. Then we can leave you for 2 hours to do clairvoyance.
Anybody want anything they want to add? Observations, thoughts, not been covered, want to revisit? Yes, darling.
Yeah, what's an ascended master?
There's the trouble with spirituality and spiritualism is we are physical beings, so we tend to put our physical impression on matters of the spirit. There is some common terminology, there is some newly invented terminology, there is our own personal terminology. The matters of the spirit world, because we're human, we imagine different levels, because that's how we can think. You know, we get in a lift, we go up first floor, second floor, third floor. The term ascended masters is, if you look at the great avatars throughout this world's time of Jesus, an ascended master, somebody who has taken time to incarnate physically to teach. Who is it? Estelle Roberts' guide, Red Cloud, fascinating books. He says about it took him 7 years to lower his vibrations in order to be able to work with his medium, which was Estelle Roberts. Ascended masters, a generality. It is, people have grouped them into cards, books and whatever, but to me the term an ascended master is just somebody from a higher realm of maybe hasn't got the need to reincarnate anymore or will only reincarnate at specific times when wherever is ripe for progression, where it's seen that progress can be made by their presence.
But most titles are from us anyway, aren't they?
Yeah.
So it's not a spirit world.
And again, this is where we tend to fixate sometimes, because people will fixate, what's the one with the sword? Michael, Archangel Michael. You know, people, oh yes, he's my angel, and I'm just thinking, have you asked him? You know, one day I'm going to go up to him and say, Michael, is she yours? Who? So yeah, we tend to, but sometimes we just need that physicality to be able to conceptualise what we're actually thinking about. The other best description I heard of the spirit world was one of my old teachers, Molly Clay, and she was doing a trance stem, and somebody said about the different levels of spirit world, because we would like that, wouldn't we? We would like it to be first floor,
Regimented, yeah.
second floor, third floor. When you take it, your progression is a journey. Now, you're not journeying in a lift, you're getting there instantaneously, so that misleads us. But anyway, somebody asked her guide, you know, about the different levels, and he said about, you know, you look at it in your physical way, and you cannot. He said, the best way I can explain it, he said, I stand here and look around me, all I see is peace and beauty. The fella stood next to me only sees discontent and war. So that two realities are existing in the same space because of the person's outlook, or the spirit's outlook, or the spirit's perception. This is how we can have, you know, a wonderful day down the park and suddenly somebody's screaming and yelling and shouting at somebody when everybody else is just out chilled out and bottle of wine and really enjoying life.
As you say, it's perception, isn't it?
It is.
And our perception of something is totally different to the world of spirits. You know, I mean, I tend to think sometimes if you spoke to somebody, you know, in the spirit world, you started asking all these questions, I can imagine them going, it's the same every time. Every time one comes up, it's the same questions being asked.
And the trouble with that as well is Roy does trance work. If Roy was going to trance and his guides, you would ask them one question, you would get Roy's group who works with them understanding of the answer of the question. If you have Mark Stone up here and ask him the same question, you would get a different answer. Because there is no one truism. There are the laws, there is about love and recompense and balance and the natural laws, but apart from that there is no one truism, because it's again all about the journey. And we have this image sometimes that the spirit world will give us the answer, going back to wanting the answer, but it's about the journey and realising that those spirits are also continuing their journey of understanding. And you may continue down one path and get to the end and think, do you know what, that's the wrong path for me, so I'm going to have to go back to square one and start all over again. Have you enjoyed tonight?
Yes.
Have you found it helpful?
Well, that's not a bad word. Hopeful.
Is it helpful? Is it beneficial? Are you comfortable with just sharing ideas and thoughts?
It's just a nice place to be.
Yeah, good.
With friends.
Yeah.
Chatting.
Says it all. Says it all.
Yeah.
It's friendship.
It's better than the pictures.
Well, it depends what film you were going to go see.
Fuck it, I was going to do puppets next time. But yeah, these nights are to do this, to be able to talk, to be able to say things, you know, because I bet your bottom dollar, that's your thing, isn't it? You can bet your bottom dollar you're not going to go out and just drop everything that's happened tonight. These thoughts are going to go around in your head. You're going to have a think about it. You're going to apply it to your circumstances, to your understanding. You may dismiss some because they're not right for you at this time, and that's fine. Others may support what you're thinking, think, oh, thank God for that, I thought I was crackers. But yeah, I think there's great value now in just doing this, talking with people.
I don't want to
So you can't shut her up now,
No.
it's your fault.
I want to go to the loo, but I didn't want to be rude by walking out while you were talking.
Well no, walk this way and just tell everybody here.
But it's true, when you talk about what you can take from this evening, you know, when we look at the books, especially the spiritualism books and things, and they are all at different levels from different writers, and you only take from that book what you can understand. Again, right back at the beginning, we're all different intelligences. You take from that book what you can understand, and you process that, and then once you've processed that, you might be ready for the next bit in the book because you kind of understand it. And people that I know that have sat in circle, you know, they said, well, I've read this book and I've read that book, but he says this and he says that, now I don't know what to think. And it's just like, well, exactly it. What do you think? Which one actually you're drawn to? Which one actually are saying the words that you can understand? That's what you go by, and you'll just build it up as you go along. I mean, crikey, nobody's perfect.
No, if you're perfect, you wouldn't be
Especially
here.
me. Yeah.
Well, thank you, everybody. Absolutely lovely. If you can stay on and have a chat, please do. Please eat the cakes. What's our next night? 1st of March. So that's next Wednesday. We've got an awareness night. and that is with David Powell. He's a lovely, I hate saying this because I've told myself off for saying that. He is another lovely medium. And he'll be talking about the evidential message, so what we associate with mediumship, you know, standing up here, I've got your mother here. He'll be talking about that and what is its place within spiritualism. So look forward to that. But thank you all for coming tonight, that's absolutely lovely. I hope you have enjoyed it, and as I say, it is really good to talk. It is good to talk, because for years we've just come in, sat down, been spoken at and gone out the door. That no longer fulfills the need. The need is to come out and just, not sure about that. Oh, okay, yeah, I like that. Oh, that was interesting, whatever. But thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
It's always warm up here, isn't it?
Yeah.
No.